Let's do this. Woo! Well, good morning, everybody. We're on the new 429 trail, and this is a brilliant place to start with it. We're just climbing up this little double track here. It's not the smoothest thing ever, but this bike just doesn't care. It gets you loads of grip. Even if I get up out of the saddle, that rear wheel just stays glued to the ground, which is the first primary feature I want to point out about this thing. Now, throughout this ride, we're going to reference features of the bike, but I'm also going to compare it to other bikes. I'm going to compare the Transition Spur, the Revel Rascal, the Ibis Ripley, the Yeti SB 115. Goodness, I might even throw in reference to a few other bikes, but oh my goodness, this thing pedals so well. Ah. Now, this isn't just because part of my job is selling this bike. Oh, I'm just stoked about it. Like, it really is that good. Ah. Well, let's go climb something else. Let's go ride some other stuff. Let's descend some other things. Got the bike set up for my weight. I wish I had a little wider handlebar, but you know, we'll be good. Woo! Man, this is a good bike. I'm gonna point it right up some more dirt road here. Send us right into the sun. It's a balmy 46 degrees. Let's get after it. All right, y'all, full transparency. I work at Salt Cycles. That's where this bike is coming from. And the reason I bring that up is I don't want there to be, oh, you know, he's got a cell pivot. Because we also have Yeti, Ibis, Transition, GT, Revel, some brilliant brands. When I say initial impressions on this bike are that good, I'm comparing it to some really, really good bikes. You know what? We're gonna go up and ride that random sauce trail to nowhere here in a second. Yeah, let's do it. Woo! I love doing these honest reviews from the saddle because that's how we experience bikes. Sure, there's some excitement in the research process, looking at reviews, people talking about them, people ripping on them. But ultimately, we experience the bike on the bike. So, let's go ride some more stuff. I'm gonna drop down that off to the right there. This bike handles the chunky stuff a lot better than a 120 mil travel rig that weighs as much as this does should. Hopefully that grammatically makes sense, but whatever. Whew, we're not making this today. We gotta talk. We gotta talk about this bike. So, well, I don't have the fitness for it. This bike would climb right up some pretty janky technical stuff like this. No problems. Because it gives you the planted, reassuring feel pedaling that a Switchblade does. It's like they're related. But it's just dang light. Isn't that what we want in a climbing bike? Light and efficient. Now, other bikes in the category, like the Transition, are also really, really light. And it's gonna pedal really well, particularly on smoother stuff. You can just lock that rear shock out, call it good. Now, I actually own the Transition Spur, and I rode it just a few days ago on this exact trail network. It was insanely fun, but not as smooth. I'm going to emphasize that a lot as I'm just randomly bumping around the bush here. This bike is smoother, and the weight is so dang close between the two. it's hard to say that I can't choose a smoother riding, more efficient pedaler on rough stuff like this pivot. So let's go down this first little bit of something here. It's a little janky, it's a little narrow. I need to ride precise. Hopefully we get no dying on the camera. That would be awkward. Woo! Dang, that's good. It's forgiving, it's soft, yet it's snappy and quick. I know those can be contradicting terms, but mechanical wizardry makes it work. Woo! Let's not wash out. Oh, berms are running good this morning. We got some hero dirt conditions. Yeah. Whew, that's good. Oh, that's so good. Even when I made those mistakes on line choice, the bike just said, "No, you're good. I got you." Oh, thank you, Pivot. That was great. Now let's talk about the technical aspects of the bike here. Now you can look at all the geometry numbers on Pivot's website. I'm not going to try and memorize all of them, but I can say that I'm running the standard not enduro build, which means you get 130 mil travel Fox 34 on the front. This is the Fit 4. Grip 2 is the damper upgrade that's optional on that one. I'm running the XT 4-piston brakes, which might be a little over braking, but then you realize how fast this bike can go and it's totally good. The dissectors, honestly, they're a little more tire than a lot of people are going to need, so check with your local bike shop. Call us up at Salt if you have any questions on what tire you should run for your local terrain and your riding style. Now I should point out that part of the versatility of this bike is the flip chip adaptability. Here I've got low and lower. Me being me, I'm running the lower setting because, well, and because this bike naturally pedals a little bit higher in the travel, well, relatively higher, so I like having it a little lower. You know, we have some first world problems when 150 mil dropper just isn't low enough. I thought about pulling a 200 off of another bike and slapping it on here, but alas, we're just gonna have to deal with it because, you know, that's not the worst thing ever. Anywho, generous amounts of chainstay protection. There's some sort of cable rattle, but because Pivot manages the cables so well, I can fix that really, really easily. These Reynolds wheels are unreal good. Ugh, I'm getting spoiled on this thing. All right, enough talking about it. Let's go and ride. Now, it may not be the most important feature ever, but this bike manuals so well. Woo! You know, I've heard people say that, you know, they can handle some pretty chunky stuff on their short travel bikes, but this thing really can just handle it. Woo-hoo. Even on this fairly uncut, rugged little trail here, handles it so well. Now, one of the key super killer features on this bike is the amount of engineered flex and stiffness. So when I slap it into a berm, it doesn't noodle offline, it doesn't bounce me around. It just says, hey, let's do this. Woo! A good bike. Really good bike. Being a little too timid there. I can go a little harder into that corner. Why not manual into the G out? Bike will do it. It's happy to do whatever. Might as well. Okay, let's talk about sizing. Now, this is going to be an issue for some, particularly as these bikes get longer and lower and slacker and all that. So I'm 5'10" on a particularly confident day. My ape index is pretty insane, which means I've got crazy long arms. Fortunately, I ride with those arms out quite frequently, so it doesn't really mess with the fit as much as it could. Whew. I should slow down to sub-grandma snail pace here so I can talk. Man, my shape right now is more pear-shaped. Anyway, 31-inch-ish inseam, and I'm riding a medium. Stubby little 35 or 40 millimeter stem. Whew. The top tube feels a little bit longer, and that's because pivot runs a little bit slacker seat angle. And this is all relative, of course. That little bit slacker seat angle makes it better for, you know, all-around trail riding. And if you're riding just really, really steep terrain, did I seriously just grab the granny gear? Oh my goodness. Well, if you're riding really steep terrain all the time, just move your seat forward a little. That'll get you up over the bottom bracket, up over the front end, or just bend your arms. However, if you want to be even more over the front end, then you might look at a bike with a little steeper seat angle. Woo! All right, some comparisons here. A lot of people are going to be looking at this bike next to the Ibis Ripley, the Revel Ranger, hopefully, because it's awesome. The SB 115 from Yeti. Oh, variety of Santa Cruz, Canyon, Specialized. You know, there are so many good bikes out there right now, but I'm going to compare it primarily to the Ripley, the Ranger, and the 115. It's a little bit more capable. And when I say capable, I mean you bomb down something that makes you go, ah! Just a little bit. That was a weird sound, but that's what we make when we're a little bit scared. We make weird sounds. So it gives you a little more confidence on that kind of stuff. Now the new Ripley AF with a degree slacker head angle certainly helps with that steeper, chunkier terrain, feeling safe on it kind of feeling. But dang, this thing is good. When I say all around, it's really all around. Now you see that I didn't mention the spur, because it's kind of in its own department. It takes that downcountry and it turns it into like its own flavor of XC Enduro. Not meaning you should take that to your local Enduro race, though I have buddies that have done such things and done really, really well. Good job, Mob and Rob. But for what most of us think of as a downcountry or really capable XC bike with an attitude, this is the quintessential version of that. Now Ripley, you're gonna think like, oh, it's super light, and it is. This is really, really, really close. I mean, they're within a couple grams of each other. Whew. Oh, we're going uphill, sweet. This bike though, I mentioned the engineered flex and stiffness. That's one of the key features that sets it apart. Particularly for taller, bigger riders. They're gonna push that Ripley, really that 115, and they're gonna feel a little bit of pool noodle action. They're gonna feel the bike snapping around a bit when it gets rough. That's not the best feeling ever. And this does a little bit better with that. Now I'm struggling to think of ride characteristics that I don't really like. I mean, I don't like that it's not my bike. I could say that I don't like the price tag, but it's the level of engineering. Yeah, they don't build super cheap build kits, but that's just because they don't want to take your attention off of the incredible amount of work that's gone into engineering this frame. So, behold, Pivot 429 Trail, or Trail 429. It's good. It might be your next bike, but then again, it's really hard to get stuff right now. Woo! Hopefully this is helpful. Consider subscribing, I definitely enjoy it. But in either case, get out there, have some fun. I'm gonna keep riding here because the day's amazing, dirt's great, the bike is superb. So I'll catch y'all next time.